Hey, I think I'm live. I think I am. I think I'm live. Okay, so technical details. I wasn't able to start at 6:30 as I thought I would. So I'm sorry. Welcome to Wezesha Wednesday. It's another Wednesday. This is the third one so far. As a reminder, Wezesha is a platform that provides access to resources, support, opportunities so that we can all feel empowered and lift ourselves up and basically accomplish our goals. And so the focus on Wezesha Wednesdays is really about uplifting people as we get through the middle of the week. All the energy from Sunday and Monday has disappeared, and Wednesday is when people need motivation. So my job on Wezesha Wednesday is to help provide just information that can hopefully uplift you. Over the past 2 weeks, this is week three, so we talked about fear in week one, which was one of the things that stops us from accomplishing our goals. Week two, we talked about being stuck in a rut and trying to get unstuck. When you feel like I'm not making progress, I can't move forward, I'm really stuck. So we talked about techniques about getting stuck. So please, if you're in that situation, please go and watch last week's. Today, I am really excited. You know, I've been curating these topics to help create like almost a framework or maybe like a toolkit that you can use in your pursuit of accomplishments. And so, fear being one, getting unstuck to today, we're going to talk about probably the most powerful weapon we have within ourselves, and it's called the mindset. MINDSET, mindset. So today I'll focus on mindset, and I'll focus specifically on managing mindset, because the way we manage mindset will determine the power we have to overcome a lot of the challenges that we are going to meet as we go from insight to action and we go from aspiration to accomplishment. So I'll read from here, psychology of mindset. So what is mindset, right? Mindset are the core assumptions that we make about the nature of ourselves or things in the world. So they are very powerful beliefs that dictate how we see ourselves and how we view the world, and then our interaction with the world. So in one way, it's powerful enough because it can tell us the abilities we have, the skills we have, the aptitude we have. But on the other hand, it can also remind us about our limitations. So managing the mindset, managing the shift between what we can do and what limitations we have is what we're going to talk about today. Also, our mindset helps us understand the nature of stress. And as we embark on the journey of accomplishing things, we are going to meet stress. Like, that's a given. Whether it's stress related to the journey that we're on, whether it's stress related to our reaction to things, or stress coming from outside. And so the mindset is what's going to help us with with overcoming stress, basically. So why do I think mindset is important? You know, many of us don't really realize that we have mindset and that we can actually manage and manipulate it, because mindset sometimes we think it comes naturally, and we become quote unquote slaves to it. We say, okay, this is how I respond to things, so it must be true. You know, this is how I behave, so it must be true. This is who I am, so it must be true. But the interesting thing about mindset is that mindset can help shift our focus. Mindset can dictate our behavior. And interestingly, there's been many studies that show that mindset can also shift our physiological well-being. And I'll talk a little bit about that. But simply put, sometimes not the way you think, but the way you respond to what you hear or what you think can actually have a physiological impact on you. And I'll give you a really, really good example that I think a lot of us can relate when it comes to physiological, sort of the physiological reaction to mindset. So, mindset shapes our expectations and predictions. They shape our expectations of the world, and shape how we think we're going to respond to the world. So why does this happen? So I always talk about sort of like technical versus adaptive challenges. So technical is, okay, do A, B, C, D, and that will be equal to F. It's, someone once called it sort of like the math. Math will always be true, science will always be true. But then adaptive and sort of behavioral, sometimes there's no math to it, and some people call this drama, and so that's what I'm going to focus on today. So when I say the brain is interesting, the brain acts as a prediction machine. It takes in all that's happening, it processes it, and then it asks itself things. Okay, am I capable of doing this? Did I do wrong? What do I need to do to get right? Oh, this is so stressful. The brain does that so we can protect ourselves. The brain is the single thing that really acts as a protective mechanism for us. And so it's not the brain's fault that is we're trying to accomplish a goal. Let's say we're trying to climb Mount Everest. We're trying to run a marathon. We're trying to lift 225 pounds, whatever it is. The brain says, no, you know what? I can't do it. This is too much. This is too much stress. I'm in danger, and it predicts how you're going to respond by telling you to just stop. Now, I'm not saying that you should not stop. What I'm saying is that you need to learn to manage the mindset. So the brain operates as a prediction machine. It asks itself, can we do this? Am I going to be okay if we try and do this? And then it uses that to regulate our bodies. The brain has what are called heuristics, which are sort of like mental shortcuts that we make. Okay, if I do this, then that's going to happen. So the brain does that all the time. And so thinking about the power that the brain has, imagine if we can influence the thoughts that go through our mind, i.e. the mindset, and turn that into a power that we can use to accomplish our goals. Imagine if we can do that. What can we do with our mind? Our mind is incredible. It has so much power. We all ask ourselves, am I doing enough? Is this the right thing? Again, when you talk about, your relationships, fitness, starting a business, running a business, am I doing the right thing? What will others think of me? I'm indecisive. I'm getting self-doubt. I'm getting what are these things called? Imposter syndrome, like all of that, all of those things come in. These self-generated feelings, and I'll say it again, these self-generated, because they're not real, they are perceptions of how we feel about ourselves given the situation that we're seeing. They result in stress about ourselves, and they increase what we see as our limitation for ourselves. It's really a self-fulfilling prophecy, which means that when I think I can't do this, everything I do convinces me that I'm not able to do this. It's also called confirmation bias. Oh, this is tough. Because it's tough, then it becomes tough, right? So when we embark on a challenge with the goal of accomplishing something, either you want to lose weight, you want to improve your relationship, you want to attain wealth, you want to start a business, my thought is, in January 1st, we get the New Year resolution and we kick off with a lot of energy, right? Or if it's Sunday, we go to church, we hear, the word, and we have all this energy. And then we think that, okay, since I have this energy will take me through to accomplishing my goal. What I'm proposing is that if we can understand the power that mindset has, we can anticipate what our mindset is going to start telling us halfway through the journey, and we can tool ourselves so that when that situation comes in, we know exactly what to do. Let me give you an example. So when I was younger, I used to run marathons. And, when I came to the US, everyone was saying, I run marathons, 5K. I run marathons, 10K. I'm talking about like a real marathon, 26.2 miles. Okay. And when training for marathons, one of the things that I realized was how powerful my mindset would be not only in the training, but also during the run. How did my body feel? Was it tired? How did my legs feel? Were they starting to get cramped? So I always sort of like anticipated those things and would always try and figure out how am I going to get through it. Those of you who have known me a while know that I always talk about, I have really good lungs. Like I can breathe, I can go through, I have good stamina, right, when it comes to running. So stamina was sort of never an issue, right? I also had like, maybe, I don't know if you call it like, good mindset, like mind body coordination, like my mind could talk to my body. So that was always good. So whenever I'd run, like let's say I'm running a marathon, then I would start sort of preparing my mind for what's going to happen. And invariably it would happen. At around mile 6, I'd be excited. I'm running fast. My body is telling me you can do it. You're going to break your record. But I had to say, okay, look, we're only in mile 6. We have 20 miles to go, so slow down. So I would start positioning my mind to say, even though my body wants to run fast, I need to slow down. Then what would start happening is, as my mind started getting tired, it would tell me, oh, Ichi, your shoes are tight. Your toe is starting to pain. Oh, can you feel your knee? There's like a pain on your knee. So the mind is really trying to stop you from running because it's like, you know what? We need to shut down. And for those of you who've done things like running marathons or anything, any endurance sport, you know that once you give in to your mind, you're done. Once the mind shuts down, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing in your body that will get you over the hump if your mind is done. So the mind is the most solid thing. My friend, my dear friend Jane Mukami, a lot of you know her, a lot of you are her clients, either in business or in weight loss. She says, abs are made in the kitchen, okay? I don't know about that because the kitchen, that's where I eat everything. Yeah? But truly, she says abs are made in the kitchen. I don't disagree with her. Abs are not made in the gym. Abs are probably made in the kitchen. But I would argue that abs are actually made in the mind. Because when you go into the kitchen and your body is craving that ice cream, your mindset is what tells you, you know what, that ice cream is not good for you. This food is for fuel, not for flavor. So if you can use your mind to be able to interpret those signals and use them to accomplish your goal, that then becomes your secret weapon. So what am I suggesting? I'm not suggesting that it's not going to happen in your journey to accomplishment. What I'm suggesting is that we need to anticipate. I'm not suggesting that you change your mindset, because a lot of us have mindsets that are dictated by, let's say, genetically, how we've grown up, our culture, environment. My struggle is not the same as your struggle. Someone else's struggle can be more or less than mine. We attended the men's mental health this weekend, and some of the testimonies were incredible. I was like, how does someone do that? I could never be able to overcome some of the trauma that some of the people have gone through. So it's not about comparing one trauma versus another, one person's strength versus another, one person's mindset versus another. What I'm suggesting is we need to manage our mindset. We need to figure out what we're going to do to manage the stress when it sets in, because it will set in. When we start feeling unworthy, when we start feeling unable or unskilled, how are we going to manage through that? The journey will never be easy, right? Going again to the marathon, one of the things that I always had to prepare myself for was that the journey will be difficult. So it's not about being unrealistic that the journey is going to be difficult or easy. It's about saying, it's going to be difficult, okay, now, because it's going to be difficult, what am I going to do? So those of you who are looking for a new job, seeking promotion, have just been laid off, or about to be laid off, all those circumstances that happen, managing mindset is about saying, okay, I'm going to, take some time to really feel bad, feel pity on myself and all that. But then I'm going to manage my mindset, which means how am I going to manage my reaction to those things in a positive way that's going to cause me to grow. And I'll talk about that in a second. The circumstances don't change. It's the mindset that does. It's not that you won't be stressed. It's your view of the stress. It's not that you won't struggle. It's your view of the struggle. That's what we need. It's the visualization of when this thing happens, and again, it will happen. How am I going to respond to it? So let's talk about two different mindsets as defined by Carol Dweck in the book Mindset, The New Psychology of Success. And a lot of people talk about these two mindsets. One is called the fixed mindset, which is the belief that our intelligence, our skills and talents are innate and unchangeable, right? Our intelligence, our skills, our talents are innate and unchangeable. So that's a fixed mindset. Then there's the growth mindset, the belief that our abilities can be developed through dedication, learning, and hard work. And so what are we trying to say here? What we're trying to say here is that a fixed mindset is one where you believe that it is what it is. I can't change anything. Whereas a growth mindset is one that says, okay, it is what it is, but I'm going to figure out a way to grow through it so that I can learn and so that I can meet my goals. Our mindset profoundly influences our response to challenges, setbacks, and feedback. Those with a fixed mindset tend to avoid challenges, tend to see obstacles as insurmountable. Took me a while to get the growth mindset. Yes, Catherine, absolutely. And by the way, it's okay. I would venture to say it's not on and off. You can't turn it on and off. And that's why I call this topic managing the mindset. It's not one day I was in fixed, now I'm in growth, because you're going to have experiences that happen for the first time. If you've never been laid off, then suddenly you're laid off the first time. You can't just jump to growth mindset immediately. You may have that fixed mindset of, oh my gosh, I am unskilled, I'm unable, I haven't done things right. And it's okay. It's a process of understanding what mindset is and understanding the power of your brain. And if you understand the power of your brain, those of you, some of you have been on this journey with me for, a couple of months. You know how firmly I believe in the hidden brain. The hidden brain are those subconscious things that happen behind the scenes that dictate our behavior. And so accomplishing a goal is all about understanding that the hidden brain is going to kick in even when the math goes wrong. So those with a fixed mindset tend to avoid challenges, see obstacles as insurmountable, and feel threatened by the success of others. I don't know about that, but whatever, right? Those with growth mindset embrace challenges, view failures as learning opportunities, and find inspiration in the success of others. Those with a growth mindset embrace challenges, view failures as learning opportunities, and find inspiration in the success of others. Is it both internal and external? I would say yes, because look, we are born in us, if you believe in nature versus nurture, right? We naturally tend to be in a certain way. And that probably helps us in some things. But when we come across an experience that doesn't lend itself to who we naturally are, then we need to figure out how to grow into that. And that's where, coaching comes in, reading, learning, all the things that we've talked about. So the way we respond to external stimuli, for some people, the gap is this big relative to who they are. For some people, the gap is this big relative to who they are. And so the fixed and growth mindset is both an outcome of internal and external. At least that's what I think. I'll give you another example, right? So And this is actually, Catherine, I'm going to sort of like go physiologically here, right? So here's another example. Do you believe that people naturally, in the genes, and we say this about cukes, that they like warus and water and bread and stuff like that, like genes dictate what we eat and how much we eat? If you believe that to be true, it is true. There is science that says you are genetically predisposed to eat more food than you need because you don't feel full. Okay, so there's that. There's studies that show that some people genetically may be predisposed to some diseases. Absolutely. So I'm not here to say that's not the truth. What we're talking about mindset is when that happens, how do we perceive that situation and how do we manage our mindset to overcome it? So if, for me, those of you who know me know I love ice cream at 10 p.m. Maybe it's something genetic, I don't know. But my mindset has to shift for me to say, okay, knowing that I'm going to crave ice cream at 10 o'clock, what am I going to do to overcome that desire to eat the ice cream? Growth mindset. Fixed mindset. It is what it is. This is how God made me. After all, ice cream is good. I'm going to feel happy tomorrow. My mind, again, my brain can tell me all these things. It can manipulate me. And what I'm suggesting to you all is understand that the brain is going to manipulate it. It's going to manipulate you all the time, every single time. It's going to tell you it's not possible. You can't do it. You're too tired, right? My brain told me, Ichi, you cannot go on Facebook Live. You're going through too much stuff. There's no reason to go to Facebook Live. My brain told me that. And then I had to figure out, okay, if I'm feeling that way, then Catherine's feeling that way, Diana's feeling that way, everyone's feeling that way. So let's talk about mindset and how we can shift the mindset so that we can have a growth mindset. Okay, I digress. Let me tell you another one. Actually, I'll come to this example later. So what we need to do, interpretation is important. So we need to interpret what it is that we're receiving, either positively or negatively. Use the heuristics, which are those mental exercises that the shortcuts that our brain takes, and make things up. Make things up to support or not support our journey. We need to figure out how to bring into our lives those things that are going to support the fact that we're going to accomplish our goals. So, are you going for a promotion? Okay, what are those things that you need to bring into your mindset that supports that you will get the promotion? Is it going to be hard? Heck yeah. So let me accept that it's going to be hard. Can I kick in my growth mindset? Yes, I'll kick in my growth mindset and say, everything I do is going to be a learning opportunity. So let me tell you something interesting. Some of you may know this. So there's probably three things that, among many things, but three things that come to mind, three accomplishments that come to mind that I'm truly, truly proud of, right? One is running a marathon. It doesn't feel like it's anything, but it was a key accomplishment in my life because that's something I sought to do. Getting my doctorate, that was something that I sought to do and I was able to accomplish it, right? And maybe the third thing is, working where I work. I love my job. I love the company I work for. So I would say those are the three sort of like accomplishments that I feel strongly I worked hard and worked through mindset shifts to accomplish. These people who have accomplished a ton more than any of us have, right? That doesn't mean that, I'm not saying they're better than us, but what I'm saying is what we can learn from them is the mindset they had when they faced those challenges towards their accomplishments. So, story for another day. So, what am I asking you today? I like that without the marathon. By the way, Catherine, in 4 weeks I can prepare you to run a marathon. But since you're a national fan, I don't know about that. Okay, so today I'll ask you, and this is a really serious question, right? What is your belief about stress? When stress comes, what is your belief about stress? And what is your belief about your relationship with stress? Do you see stress as good for you, or do you see stress as bad for you? Is the stress you experience in your journey for accomplishment, so Catherine, when you're running that marathon, that stress that you're going to experience, does it motivate you or does it debilitate you? That's what I want to know. When that stress comes in, what does it do for you? Scientifically, the measure of mindset and stress predict whether you will succeed. So, when we conduct experiments and stress comes in, the mindset we have in dealing with the stress will determine whether we'll succeed or not. Stress has been packaged to be negative. Awesome. So let me ask you this, Catherine. You go to the gym, you work out, you do bench, in fact, let's do legs. You do legs, you do squats, you do whatever, lunges, you do everything for your legs. Your muscles get stressed. And at the end of the workout, you feel sore. And you walk out of the gym. The question I want to ask you is, that stress on your body because of working out, was that good for you or was that bad for you? Think about it. The stress from working out, is it good for you or is it bad for you? What I argue is, and this obviously I'm not arguing, people know this to be true, the stress from that pump means that the muscles are breaking so that they can build themselves up, so that is good for you. I'm telling you, as adults, stress is not negative. The perception of stress is what I'm talking about, right? So if you're stressed at work, you can view it as two things. Oh, I'm so stressed. This job sucks. If you're stressed at work, you can view it as, I'm so stressed, I'm going to move to the next role. So I'm not talking about the thing itself. I'm talking about the perception of that thing. So if I'm running a marathon, I'm going to feel pain. My muscles are going to, my legs are going to cramp up. So that's the reality. How am I going to perceive that and overcome it? Perception of stress. That is the key. Exactly, Catherine. That is the key. And that's why I'm asking you today, what is your belief about stress? Is it good for you or is it bad for you? Of course, there's outliers where, things have happened to a lot of people that are very traumatic. And so I'm not saying you should compare yourself to others. I'm saying when that situation comes in, how do you perceive it? There have been studies that show the relationship between mindset and physiology. So your mindset can actually determine whether you heal or remain sick, okay? If you think that disease is going to kill you, you'll do worse. So I'm not saying that disease is going to go away. But if you believe that disease is going to kill you, you'll do worse. Perhaps you feel you're not in control. The messages of stress are well-intentioned, but sometimes create unhealthy and counterproductive mindsets. Let me give you another example, Catherine. Have you ever you go for your physical, you sit down, the doctor says, okay, I'm going to give you let me check your blood pressure. And they put that thing on your hand, and then suddenly they say, woo, your blood pressure is high. I think you're stressed, you're anxious because I'm putting it on you. Relax, and let's do it again. So they do it again, and then suddenly, because you're in a relaxed state, your body responds differently, and your high blood pressure is no longer high. Doc, how do we work on this for ourselves as we shift the narrative with our kids concurrently? Oh, wow. One thing I've learned, I don't have a specific answer, but let me tell you one mindset I have. One mindset I have is that the stress, trouble, tribulations that we go through as we raise our kids is a way for us to mature into the strength and wisdom that we have so that we can give it back to our kids. So even as you work, the importance of working on yourself is so high. And what I ask is that you figure out a way to manage it, to manage that stress so that it doesn't fall on your kids. And if it does, because it will, look, I'm going to be real with you. I really was mad at my son. He just made me mad. All right. And so I was like, Chase, how could you do this? How many times have I told you? How many times have I told you? Then I woosad and I said, look, okay, fine. He did something wrong. How am I going to perceive that wrong thing that he did? 1. 2, it's past due. I've already screamed at him. Okay. Now that I know that to be true, how am I going to engage with him? After this call, I'm going to go up to him and I'm going to tell him sorry. I'm going to apologize to him because the way I screamed at him wasn't right. So, Catherine, yes, these things are going to happen. I'm not saying it won't be stressful. I'm not saying it won't be painful. I'm not saying you're not going to feel like your legs are jelly on mile 16 of the run. What I'm saying is when that happens, I want you to anticipate what you're going to do so that when that decision comes, should I quit or shouldn't I quit? Your mindset, your growth mindset kicks in and you say, how am I going to perceive this stress so that I can finish? Maybe it's I will be in the top 10% in the world who have completed a marathon. Maybe it will be, the 5% who have, though I'm just throwing random numbers, who've done it in 3 hours and 30 seconds. Or you look at someone, one of my biggest managed mindset techniques is observing people. I observe people and I say, wow, if that person can do it, given the limitations they have, why can I not do it given all these things that I have? Or you get a coach. Coaches out there are there to help you talk through this. Not to solve the problem for you, but to help you talk through this. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll be right there. Okay, so interpretation, we talked about interpretation. We talked about belief about stress. We talked about mindset and physiology. Let me tell you this one. Wow. So when I came State 2, I remember one of my first classes, I started doing college, and then suddenly I was given a stats class. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, this thing is so hard. So I didn't take any stats. Then I went to, whatever grad school, stats came and, I was in a team. So I didn't really, I was like, stats, boring. And then when I was doing my doctorate, stats came again. And this time now it was major because that was the purpose of my study was all, quantitative and I had to do stats. And I remember, I raised my hand and I told the professor, man, I hate the stats. Then he said, you know what? After I explained to him about junior college, grad school, he said, this thing has been following you all these years and you are trying to escape it. How about this time you embrace it and you get it done? Mindset shift. Once I had that mindset shift that I wouldn't let stats control me, but that I was in control of stats, there you go. I did experiments and I was able to successfully go through a lot of stats related work. And that's what I'm saying. The perception of it is the strength that we have. So, people people want to believe that how they're born is going to dictate how they will manage through life. I'm not saying that's not right. In the book Hidden Potential by Adam Grant, he argues that the nurture part is more powerful than the nature part. And this is what I'm talking about today. No matter what mindset we have, that comes naturally to us. We get angry quickly, we get stressed quickly, we give up quickly, whatever comes naturally to us. I want us to think about, understand that managing mindset can help us form a better relationship with it so that we can accomplish our goals. We are fluid in our existence, aren't we? I hope so. I hope we are. But the fact that you realize you're fluid means you have a growth mindset, Catherine. Not everyone has that mindset. And that's why we need people like you and like me to say, look, you have to be fluid with these situations that you face. You have to engage the growth mindset. You have to embrace it and get it done, especially when it comes to accomplishing your goals. So, as I wrap up, this is what I'll say. I want you to apply mindset in your daily lives. How do you work through it? You know it's going to be there. You know it's going to come. When you go to the gym, you know the sets you're going to do. You know how exhausted you're going to be. How do you work through it? Reframe your reality. And in fact, it's so funny, Catherine, it's like you're reading my notes, because I say, it's not about saying there's no stress or I'm not sick. It's more about saying stress will make me stronger, or I'll manage through the sickness and not let it manage me. Or saying, this food is good for me, right? When you're eating that boiro that Mukami suggests, I'll get through the diet and I'll get through the fasting. Anyone who's done any sort of diet, you know, I like playing with weight a lot, managing weight, and I always know, you know what, the first 3 weeks will be hell, but I'll get through it. And as soon as I get through it, the pounds start falling off. Now, that is because I have anticipated the stress that I'm going to go through, and I know how to manage my mindset when it does. Anytime I've gone through a promotion, anytime I've accomplished anything that I sought to accomplish, it's in some way anticipating what may happen and knowing the power of the hidden brain and the mindset that's going to do it. Question before the end of the class. When we work on one of our areas like work, how do we make it into a lifestyle across our reality? That's a tough one. That's a tough one, right? I'll save it for another day, but I'll give you a hint of what I do. There's two things that have become a practice for me. One is understanding my values and understanding reality. And if my values and my reality are closely aligned, I'm good. It's easy. You can do exactly what you're talking about. You can work. Your work becomes fun, your passion, your purpose, all of that. Okay? Now, if my value and the reality, if the gap is too big, I figure out how I'm going to create an avatar that can be an actor for my work. Let me tell you what I mean. One of my favorite actors of all time, his name is Denzel Washington. A lot of you know Denzel Washington, right? He's acted in, the best movies. I love his demeanor, calm, cool, good guy. And then he did Training Day. And I was like, who the heck is this guy? I hate this guy. This guy is so bad. I hate him. And then he won the award for it. I mean, think about it. He did Training Day and won the award. So again, mindset. You are going to have to figure out how to manage your mindset and play those games with your brain. But what I'm saying for me, Catherine, to answer your question is, when that gap between my value and the practicality is too big, I have to create this persona that's able to do this practical work so that I can maintain my value system. And so just like Denzel, he had to create this character to play in Training Day, even if it wasn't him, because he knew that is how he would win the award. So I hope I've answered your question, but if I haven't, you know how to DM me and we can talk more about it. Okay. How do you work through it? Reframe your reality. It's not about saying there's no stress, so I'm not sick. It's more about saying stress will make me stronger, I'll manage through the sickness and not let it manage me. It's not about saying this food sucks, this diet sucks. It's about saying this food is good for me because it's fuel. I'll get through the diet and fasting. Hey, Diana, welcome, my partner. Like Beyonce and Sasha Fierce. Exactly. We have to find a way to reconcile who we are, our value system, versus who the practicality and pragmaticality of what exists. But when those two are close and we don't have that sort of like cognitive dissonance, then we're good. But the reality is that may not always happen. Look, I'm going to play futsal tonight. Yes, Catherine, I'm going to play soccer tonight. Here's one thing I've learned over the years. What made me good in soccer when I was young no longer applies. I'm not as fast. I may be as fit, but certainly not as fast. The aches and pains are big. Knowing that to be the reality, how am I going to accomplish my goal is by figuring out how can I work with the limitations within the limitations that I have. And so I think as I hear the question you're asking, it's about saying, this is the box that I'm in. How can I work through in that box? And sometimes it's just, for me right now, I can tell you is creating an avatar for that. Okay, now I'm really going to stop because we're like 41 minutes. We might be here for an hour. And when the systems we lie and work in don't have the growth mindset, we must be those change agents. I'm going to come to that just now. Okay. I talked about soreness when after you get a good workout. Do you think it's good or bad? It's good, right? The soreness after the gym makes you feel good. I want you to apply that to your day-to-day life. This stress was given to you for a reason. These obstacles were given to you for a reason so that you could work through it. Like at Google, right? Like we have this thing where promotion levels are such a big thing. And they say, okay, when you're at this level, you should be able to do this. When you're at this level, you should be able to do this. And what you notice is that with every level that you go up, the work becomes more and more abstract and ambiguous, right? You go from prescription in one level all the way to you don't even know what to expect, right? And so that's what I'm saying when you think about the system that you live in and a growth mindset. If you're thrown into that system, then how are you going to operate? You could either be a change agent because you know how the mental mindset management works, or you get a coach, you find a friend, you find someone who has that growth mindset, or you come for Wezesha Wednesday and get, Anyway, okay, I hope that helps. So, Shankar Vedantam said it best. When you reinterpret stress not as evidence of your inadequacy, but as evidence of how much you care about something, it can transform the way you think about it. When you reinterpret stress not as evidence of your inadequacy, but as evidence of how much you care about something, it can transform the way you think about it. A key to managing your mindset is working with others. Sometimes self-talk is good and is enough. Sometimes reflection and reconciliation is good. But sometimes that's where you have your friends, you have your coaches, you have people who can help you through it. Catherine, now that you've talked about Chelsea, let me tell you someone whose mindset is messed up right now. Jackson. Good striker, he can't get it right because his mind is not in the game. When we took Torres from Liverpool, he came, same thing, mindset, couldn't get it done. Those are the people I'm talking about. Suddenly now they start feeling inadequate because their mindset has shifted. Anyway, story for another day. But yeah, I knew you'd say that. So I'm gonna wrap this up. Thank you for joining. Yeah, Joanne, you missed it, but you'll see it in the replay. Again, this was about mindset. Week 1 was about facing fear. Week 2 was getting unstuck. Week 3 was about managing mindset. Guess what week 4 is going to be about? This one's big. Starts with B, is like Beyonce, and has 4 letters. And if you do this thing that we'll talk about next week, you are guaranteed to meet your accomplishment, because without it, you'll never do it. Thank you, Dan. This is good. Mindset shift. Kai Havertz. Yeah, as soon as he came to your team, now he's scoring goals. Mindset. It's because of the coach that was there. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining Wezesha Wednesday. And remember, this week, I'll read it again because it bears repeating. Manage your mindset. Look at the stress that you're about to go through. Reinterpret the stress not as evidence of your inadequacy, but as evidence of how much you care about something, and transform the way you think. If you do that, I guarantee you, you'll accomplish your goals. Right? See you.